Hi, I'm Stefan from Laie Animation, and this is the third episode of my video series about making a fan animation for the song Ocean Wide Canyon Deep by Jacob Collier, featuring Laura Mvula. Today, I'm going to talk about character design. Obviously, Jacob Collier was the first character I made for this animation. Working on Jacob was the first time I ever tried making someone's likeness in 3D, and it didn't come easy. I was first tempted to design him as mechanoid, half piano, half guitar, automaton. But it didn't feel right for the love story and the organic feel of the ocean theme. So I considered making him a button mariner, since I lived in Brittany for a while. This was my frame of reference, but it felt too much out of place again, like an ad for Jean-Paul Gaultier's new perfume or something. So I finally went back to the basics and chose to clothe him in the cow shirt, because I love cows, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. And simple jeans. He is bare feet, because at that time I wasn't aware of his rainbow Crocs.
How are you? Are you good?
By the time that made an appearance in my collection of reference, I had already animated almost a minute, so I wasn't going back to change that. For the general style, I was still focused on two things. The first was making it look like Jacob, right? To that end, I had a lot of photographic reference while modeling his face, and I tried as much as possible to stylize some features to make him look right. Number two was making it feel like a stop-motion puppet. I wanted the skin to feel like plasticine, and underneath, I wanted it to be precious metal. I also believe that most of the style in a character design lies in the hair. Not the hairstyle, to be precise, but the way hair reads in a silhouette can differentiate between characters, and the way you actually create hair, technically, has a big influence on the global style of your work. This is why Final Fantasy characters look so very distinctive. Most anime characters differ mostly in their hairstyle as well. For this project, I chose to go minimalist polygonal hair type. Jacob's hair is a whole story in itself.
Don't know why.
And I chose to respect his silhouette and at the same time to create something distinctly different from the very polished hair from video games and films, and halfway to manga hair. The elemental theme. A story called for him to be a fire elemental. That way he would be inherently incompatible with that woman who's ocean-like. Now that I look back on it, I regret not leading on that a little bit more in the character design, but the magical fire wings are a good indication of that, I reckon. Since Jacob is fire, because let's be honest, he is fire, he won't burn himself picking up lava from the Tree of Life. And to show that, I made him glow a little through the scratches on his skin. The scratches are here to suggest that he already tried to have a relationship with the water character, and he keeps trying, even when she hurts him. Speaking of water, Laura Mvula. Fun fact, I actually worked a whole year on the animation before even starting to consider making Laura Mvula. This was much more of a challenge than Jacob for multiple reasons.
No.
There are a lot less reference material to be found about Laura Mvula. Making her likeness took a lot of time because I had to go from so very few images of her. She also regularly changes the whole look, so consistency between these references was not ideal. Also, hair, makeup, clothing and respect were key aspects of my modeling her. I started the process by making a dress blue and white like water. Hair shaved. I wanted her to be covered because 3D artists have a tendency to overtly sexualize women, and I did not think that was a good idea, nor did it fit the general vibe of Jacob's persona. I wanted her to be the queen of the ocean, so I went for a respectful wardrobe. I did not know much about makeup, and even less about dark skin makeup at the time. This was a steep learning curve in itself. Thankfully, there are a lot of makeup tutorials on YouTube, and they helped tremendously. At the time, I inserted my first version of Laura in its shot on the back of the turtle. It felt it did not look regal at all. She felt more like a court jester from afar. I went back to the drawing board and tried to find a more Jacob costume for her that would ring true in Jacob's universe. Obviously, I ended up with pajamas because, obviously. The fabric is now silver wave patterns, and the wool coat she wears is painted with the watercolor of the seashore. To make it regal, I added an obi, the belt from a traditional Japanese kimono. I had chosen to make Jacob's hair polygonal, so I finally gave Laura an afro, which she had in some references. Technicalities. I'm an old school 3D artist. I started modeling faces very badly in the early 2000s, so my rule for this project was no sculpting. Sculpting makes everything more detailed and faster to iterate upon, so why not do it then? Well, there are two main reasons. First, I'm not any good at it. Second, it's a whole new can of worms. To simplify the model, to get it to move, then look like what it was sculpted. It added a level of complexity in an already technically challenging project, so I chose not to pile on. I made similar technical choices, going for old-timey approaches to problem solving, sometimes at the expense of time. Like using 3ds Max's horrendous close solver in order to minimize the technical hurdles. Conclusion. Well, now you know pretty much everything there is to know about character creation for this project. Next time, I'll tell you my secrets about the cinematography. I thank you for your attention. I'll see you next time.